You might have noticed the sermon title, 10 Things I Seriously Dislike About This Passage. I soon realized the title is wrong. It's very, very wrong. As I sat to study it, I realized there are a lot more than 10 things. The sermon should really be called at least 15 Things I Can't Stand About This Text. And I am sure that even the number 15 is a serious understatement. We, of course, it's Sunday morning. We don't have the time for 10 this morning, much less 15. Here, however, some of the ones that made my list, and I am sure that you can add many more. I don't like how incredibly public giving is in this passage. Did you notice? Everyone seems to know, see, and hear how much people give. It's a public act. I don't like that. I really dislike that it is this widow that was singled out. I can't stand that she gave everything she had. Did you catch that in the reading? Everything. Let that sink in. I don't like how her giving and her heart has become an object lesson. I can't stand how Jesus points to her and then just lets her keep walking, how Jesus didn't turn to Judas, who was their treasurer, and asked for 2 coins, or at least 4, really, and ran after her. I don't like that. He didn't do it. I don't like, for example, how Peter didn't take off his hat and pass it around as a collection for her. After all, the temple is full of affluent people. That is what Mark tells us, with many riches. It's a missed opportunity. I don't like how she just walked away empty-handed and no one noticed. Jesus was the only one, but no one else noticed. It's again the invisibility of the poor. I don't like that. And I really, seriously don't like this one. I can't stand the fact that she is given to the temple, which is a corrupt institution, one that is rampant with abuse of power. That one really gets to me. I also don't like not knowing what happened to her other than becoming a focus of thousands of sermons. And those are just a very few things that I dislike about this text. And if you're with me on those, then I say, just wait for next week's sermon. That one is titled, I Like This One Even Less. Jesus has a way of speaking to us where it matters and where it hurts, and where we are challenged, and where we need encouragement, and where we can grow. The setting in which we find this woman, whose name is never revealed, maybe because she is an archetype of every follower of Jesus Christ, the setting is a familiar one. It's the last days of Jesus' life. Jesus is in Jerusalem with pretty much everyone else. The city is overrun with outsiders, as it happens every year. There is serious political instability. Tensions are high. People travel from all over the known world, and they're ready to celebrate Passover. And they are presenting their offerings at the temple. The place is absolutely packed. In the temple, at the place of the offering, people line up to present their gifts. It's a completely, by the way, different culture than what we're used to when it comes to offering and pledge and practice. The people pass by these large horns that are made of copper, and they empty their bags of coins into the copper horns. And the more you give, obviously, the more noise you make, and the more you are noticed. So don't think of their pledging or their offering as passing the plate as the equivalent. Think more of a casino in the slot machine area, where once in a while someone hits the jackpot, and the noise it makes it impossible for heads not to turn. Jesus and the disciples are sitting across from that area, just watching. And that very moment is where we get one whose offering makes no sound. A widow, a poor widow, as Mark calls her. She gets in line, and when she reaches the place of the offering, she unravels a handkerchief and takes only 2 small copper coins and drops them in. The 2 coins are worth 1/64th of the average daily wage. In today's world, in New York City, according to the Bureau of Labor, her offering would have been roughly $2. That's it, $2. And what it gets to me is that one line that Jesus says, out of her poverty, she has put in everything she had, all she had to live on. That gets to me. And I'm sure it gets to most of us. When you think about it and do the math, well, she really didn't need to, did she? If she had decided to get to the front of the line, change her mind, and pocket the coins, I think every one of us would have understood, including Jesus and the disciples. After all, Jesus is constantly and deeply moved by the plight of the poor and the hungry. She didn't have to give anything, but she did. Or if she did, well, then just do the math. There are simply other options. She has 2 coins. Give one, pocket the other. That would have been okay. The math of when it comes to giving in churches is something people always wrestle with. For some people, the church becomes one of their top 3 charitable contributions, which is a very laudable practice. For others, they decide to follow the Old Testament rule, the 10% before taxes, after taxes, gross or net. Some others budget and have their offering as the very first item on their list. Some others calculate rent and mortgage and taxes, healthcare, tuition first, then their offering. All of these seem reasonable and faithful approaches, don't they? But hers, to give everything she has to live on? Jesus said, out of her poverty, she has put in everything she had, all she had to live on. I don't like it. I really don't. But then again, there is something that I absolutely love, and I do mean love, about her story. Years ago, I was serving a church, and we were in the middle of an ambitious capital campaign. We were building a brand new large community center, a space to rival the sanctuary, actually. We were also building a youth center. We were fixing the parking lot, which thankfully is something we don't have to worry about in New York City. We were donating also 10% of all the proceeds to hunger ministries in East St. Louis. So to say that this project was ambitious is a serious understatement. Well, one day, during the time of pledging for the campaign, John and Leah came to see me. We were close, our families were really close, and they said they wanted to share their pledge with me. I said, you really don't have to, but they wanted to, so we met. John and Leah, a young couple, a teacher and an IT freelancer, they had 2 daughters, and their income, trust me, was very, very modest. And I know that they had been saving for a few years to replace the family car, which was barely being held together by duct tape. And so that day, we sat across each other in my study, and with an enormous smile on their face, they gave me their pledge card. I looked at it, and it was for the exact amount of their new car. I looked at it, and I said, "You're kidding me." Not very professional at all, but "You're kidding me," I said. And they laughed. And instead of letting them speak, I actually said, but why? Which is not very pastoral either. And it's Leah, the one who broke the silence, and she said, "We have what we need. God has been good to us. And this is important. It's something we both really want to do." You should have been there. The joy of generosity exuded from them. And yes, it was still a few years before they could save again to buy that car. But that day, I can tell you, they could not be happier or more joyful. And I was not just floored. I was inspired. It happened several times during that campaign. It's happened many times since. I remember Humberto in Guatemala. Humberto owns a candy stand in the middle of the market, and he really doesn't have much at all. Humberto's lifestyle compared to us is absolute poverty. But he saves a very little bit every single week, puts it in a jar starting January 1st, and at Christmas time, he will take that money and hang around the supermarket and pay the groceries for a random family. I saw him and I said, "Humberto, ¿por qué? I mean, why?" And the answer was strangely similar. He said, "Pastor, God has been good to me, and this is important. It's something I really love to do." And Humberto not only floored me, he inspired me. And while I still don't like that the widow in Mark 12 gave everything she had to give on, her faithfulness inspires me. and has done so for millions over the years. Stories like hers don't and should never bring guilt. Instead, they should generate respect, humility, faithfulness, and inspire generosity. I also don't like the fact that Jesus pointed to her, spoke about her, and then just let her keep walking. After all, this is Jesus. He could have gone after her. He could have grabbed 4 coins from his own purse. He could have just wiggled his fingers and 10 coins could have appeared again in her handkerchief. After all, he's been able to heal and exorcise demons from a distance. Why not provide for her in that way as well? I don't like it. As I said before, Jesus could have instructed the disciples to pass the hat, start a GoFundMe, something at all, but no. Why not, I ask? Why just speak about her and let her keep walking? I don't like that. But then again, while I don't like it, I love that he didn't stop her, because doing so would have cheapened her sacrifice. We don't know her heart. We don't know what this meant to her to be able to do this, even if it's the last of what she had. Can you imagine Jesus running and taking the 2 coins, giving them back to her and saying, no, this is not right. Keep it. We really don't need your offering. Oh my, of course not. A few years ago, here in this very church, we're nearing the end of our stewardship campaign, and I sat at dinner with a church member who will remain anonymous, but he knows I'm sharing this. And so he asked me at the end of dinner, how are we doing on the campaign this year? I replied, we're doing well. We're almost at the end. We're just short of our goal by $15,000, to which he said, no, we're not. I said, well, what do you mean? He said, not at all. I got this. I choked on my soup. And he did actually get it. I took care of dinner in return. In the end, we surpassed our goal by quite a bit that year, and he knew this. And of course, we did not offer to give his pledge back. Now, granted, financially, he and the widow of Mark 12 are in completely different worlds, but I do see some of the same traits here. Both show us that giving is proportional and sacrificial and faithful and inspiring. There's a lot more that I don't like about this text. One last one, small but enormously important. And I really dislike this one. I dislike that the widow of Mark 12 gave any money to the temple. The temple system was run by corrupt and fear-inducing people. The text itself puts the temple in contrast with the widow. One is arrogant and powerful. The other one is humble and faithful. And I don't like that her offering would just get lost in the deep coffers of the temple system. I don't like that. I don't like either that in less than 2 chapters, they will be taking temple money to pay Judas to betray Jesus. Maybe her 2 coins were there. I don't like that. But I do, however, know that the widow is not really giving to the temple. Her gift is to God, and it always has been. We tend to forget that it's really all about God. It's always been. We tend to forget that it's all about God. We may not like everything that goes on in church, neither do I, and I work here. But our offering has never been because of what we like or dislike. Our offering has never been in order to receive something. It is not a quid pro quo service system. In its most basic form, stewardship is this: we give to God as a response for who God is and in gratitude for what God has done. Giving, trust me, is so countercultural. It is a sacred act not unlike singing or praying. And while I still don't like that she gives to the temple, I am very, very grateful for that, how that challenges my own giving. There's a lot more I don't like, and that should be enough for the day. We don't have enough time to dive into all the ways that we may dislike this text, except maybe to conclude by saying, I don't know about you, but I don't like how this text makes me feel. If I take it seriously, it forces me to look at my own stewardship, my own heart, my relationship with money, my generosity. If the Bible serves as a mirror, then I am afraid to look into Mark 12, afraid of what I will see. And then again, while I may not love it, I welcome the ways in which God lovingly tugs at my heart and guides me towards self-examination, to be better, to be more faithful. I'm grateful for the ways in which this challenges my own faith. I'm inspired by the widow's offering, and I'm grateful for the fact that I can respond to God in generosity in a way that is joyful and free. Let me say that again, joyful and free. And for that, I am very grateful. But that's me. These are the things I don't like about it, how it makes me feel and how it makes me respond. So may I ask you, what does this text do to you? Will you ask yourself that question? May God inspire and bless our stewardship journeys this season. Amen.